It's just a fanfiction, a story written by me, a writer. This has nothing to do with mentioned ideal BTS members, real life event, behavior or characteristics. Pics, sound, videos which are used in this video are not mine. Credit goes to rightful owners. But the editing and the storyline is mine. Do not copy it. And YN was coming out of the OBGYN clinic with a smile on their face. His one arm was wrapped around her waist while she was holding her reports tightly in her arms. Her cheeks were adorned with a faint pink hue whilst he was walking along with her while smiling like an idiot. They both went towards their car parking outside the hospital. Secured YN's seat belt and sat on the driver's seat. He sat there for a few seconds as if still trying to process some informations. His smile still didn't cease though. He then heard her soft voice. "I still can't believe we are expecting." He turned towards her and looked into her eyes, which were glistening with fresh tears. He cupped her face gently. "Neither do I." Just more than a month ago, we were here to confirm whether there would be any complication or not if we try for a baby. And see, now we are here again, expecting our little one. She leaned more against his palm as she nodded her head. I seem to can't stop smiling. She chuckled along with him and placed a kiss on his palm. Then they headed towards their home. At night, while lying on the bed, YN was looking at the balcony where Jungkook was standing with his phone. He was excitedly telling Jimin, his friends and parents about them expecting. She smiled seeing him and wondered how it would felt to share this news with her parents or friends, because apparently she didn't have anyone close other than him to share the news with. She felt him lay on the bed after being done with phone calls. He hugged her and she asked him while resting her head on his chest. What did they say? Jimin was very happy. He said he would visit us with Amy after they came back from their honeymoon. That's great. I like to chat with Amy. YN responded to him while smiling. Jungkook also smiled back, but his face became dull, remembering his parents' reaction. He quickly composed himself as he didn't want her to become disappointed. He talked about the reaction of his other close friends, then they slept peacefully. Next day. Sitting on the living room sofa, YN looked at the blank check which was placed on the table in front of her. Her eyes again filled with more tears. She remembered how just a moment ago Jungkook's mother came here and threw this check in front of her, telling her to leave him with a dirty fruit silently. How can she say these cruel words for her own grandchild? It's true Jungkook's parents never liked her, even after 3 years of marriage, but she never imagined his mother would even dislike her grandchild, just because the child would be a part of her. "Honey," She wiped her eyes and cheeks immediately after hearing the cheerful voice of her husband. She also clutched the check tightly in her palms, hiding it from it. Yeah? He came in front of her after hearing her voice, with a big smile pressing on his face. I went to your favorite ice cream shop while bringing groceries. And guess what? Despite being Sunday, it was so crowded, but thankfully I was able to grab your favorite ice cream. He smiled and showed her the ice cream he bought. That's good. She tried to smile but failed miserably. But you can't eat this now. Eat this after lunch. He stopped talking when he saw her face filled with dry tears. You were crying. It wasn't a question. What happened? Are you in pain? No, Jungkook, it's just mood swings. She chuckled a little and attempted to make him believe her. I am feeling sleepy now. We'll see you during lunch. She faked a yawn and left for their bedroom, leaving a dumbfounded. Mood swings? Then how come she was not looking into my eyes? Frowned and called their housekeeper, Clara, a middle-aged woman who's with them since their marriage. Young master, you were calling me. Yeah, do you know what happened to Wine? She was awfully silent and was crying, I guess. She looked at him nervously. I mean, is this normal during this time? She said it's just mood swings, but I don't think that's mood swings, young master. Your mother came today during your absence. My mother? Yes, she came here and said lots of hurtful things to young missus. Your mother didn't even bother that I was able to listen to her words. She even said dirty things about your unborn and threw money on young missus. Fisted his palms in rage after hearing Clara. His nostrils flared as he told her in low tone. Stay nearby Wagon for now. See if she needs anything. I am going outside for an important work. Clara nodded and Jungkook went outside towards his car with rage filled in every cell. Parked his car in front of his parents' mansion. He took off his seatbelt and got down from the car, then went inside the house after furiously slamming the car door. He fisted his palms and his nose flared as he furiously called his mother. On the third call, Mrs. Jeon came downstairs from the stairs. She looked sternly into Jungkook's face and said in a cold voice, So here's come the manipulated husband to fight for his innocent wife. She humorously slow-clapped for him. Your wife definitely complained to you how I am trying to get rid of her by giving her less money than she would be getting by staying by your side? Gritted his teeth hearing his mother's venomous choice of words. He pinched the tip of his nose and said, Apparently she did not say a word, Mom. Our housekeeper did. Our housekeeper. You insulted Kim's daughter-in-law in front of outsiders. How could you? Doesn't matter how we treat Clara as like our family, but one day she will leave this job and say our family matter to other people. How could you taint Vine's image like that? That dirty orphan doesn't have any image for me to taint. By raising your voice, you can't erase the fact that the woman is a classless, dirty fruit of others' sin. What's happening? Both mother and son looked at the source of the voice and found Jungkook's father, Mr. Jeon, coming towards them. What can happen? Even after many years of marriage, your wife is insulting my wife in the most cruel way when my wife just needs lots of positivity in this condition. Reading his teeth, Jungkook coldly told his dad whilst Mr. Jeon just made a face full of disgust. Then he said the words which made Jungkook look at him in shock and disbelief. You should be happy that your mom opened her mouth in front of your wife because she isn't even worthy of breathing the same air as us. Wasn't marrying the dirt enough for you that now you are tainting our bloodline by mixing her dirty genes? Are you even realizing you are talking about your own grandchild, your only son's child? How are you sure that dirty fruit inside of her has your genes in it? She couldn't even say any more words as she, along with Mr. Jeon, flinched heartily as Jungkook threw the nearby vase on the floor with loud thud, breaking it into numerous pieces. His eyes were red with rage. His breathing was heavy. Not a word more, Mrs. Kim, not even one. When your own house is made of glasses, you shouldn't be throwing stones at other house. Not everyone is like you, Mrs. Kim. Don't seek your image in my wife. What are you saying? The truth? The truth of your high-class people's marriage life? I know very well how mom is constantly cheating on you, even after promising she won't. I have known this since preteen, Dad. Writen hearing him, but I kept numb. I didn't interfere between both of you because you tried to be my parent. You never abandoned me. But whatever you both say today about my wife and unborn child, you both have lost my respect as parents just like you lost my respect as a couple many years ago. And you, Dad, just a while ago telling me, right, how Wyan never deserved to breathe the same air as mom and you? How wrong you thought. Because you guys never deserved to breathe the same air as her. Sure, I don't know about her family tree, but she has morals far more better than yours, the high-class genes. She isn't the one who's two-timing with me. She isn't the one who is sleeping with numerous people while being committed to me. She isn't the pathetic one begging me to accept her love over and over again after getting rejected. I dare you guys to come near my wife or child in future, let alone talk to them. You would be horrified seeing the consequences. Mind you, I would destroy the very power couple image of yours in seconds. Mr. and Mrs. Kim were too numb to reply after hearing their son knew the entire time about their broken marriage. Obviously, I would neglect my duties towards you both as your only child, but that would be only formalities because you never abandoned me as your child. He took a last glance at them and said before leaving from there, I wish you were brave enough to walk out of this marriage, Dad. Then I wouldn't have thought that a man can only get peace while being with his mistress, not with his lover or wife. Time skip. Fluttering her eyes, Wyan let out a yawn. She stretched her arms and tried to sit on the bed. She glanced at the open window and saw the sunset, indicating the daytime was almost over. I really fall asleep while thinking about her words. She closed her eyes and ran her palms over her face. You were awake. She heard a familiar voice and looked at it, knowing very well the voice belonged to her husband. She smiled weakly at him and nodded her head. "You didn't wake me during lunchtime? You have eaten, right?" Instead of answering her question, he just said before leaving the room, "You stay here, I am bringing your food and medicines." While having her food, Wyan could feel the room was filled with thick tension. His facial expression was enough to conclude that he was angry. She didn't even dare to ask anything, feeling his silence awfully painful. After her meal, he gave her medicines and water. Then he sat in front of her on a chair and asked her in a cold voice, "My mom came here today and insulted you, even said nasty about our unborn baby." She gaped at him, hearing his words, as her eyes widened. How come you remained silent, Wyan? How?" She gripped the bedsheets tightly, hearing his extreme cold voice. "The Wyan I know is capable of returning much more insults to the person who hurts or says nasty about herself, me, her loved ones. Then how come you were silent after she insulted our baby? How?" "Because she said some truth too." Her voice was very low as her eyes became red due to tears. He furiously frowned at her after hearing her response. "So, you were calling our own baby dirty because you don't know about your birth parents or family tree?" She vigorously shook her head as she placed her palm on her belly. "Never, I would never. I can't even form those words like." "Then what words, damn it? That you lied to me after crying, saying that it's just mood swings? That it's easy for me to leave you after getting hefty amount of money, as I have already sold my dignity once for money. That she wouldn't be surprised if I sold my child in near future for money." She broke down into tears. His eyes softened seeing her like that. "Wyan, how can you believe?" "Isn't she right, Jungkook? I did sell my dignity to you. I will, my child." Got up from the chair and embraced her tightly. He started to pat her back to calm her down as she was wailing like anything. "She was not right, love. She wasn't. How can a mother who is nurturing her wanted child in her home would keep away her child from herself?" "The situation was different 5 years back, Wyan. You weren't committed to anyone before coming to me. Plus, you didn't be a mistress of a married man." "How can you measure your motherly love on the basis of something you did to survive when you were merely in your early 20s, an orphan without home or food or any degree?" He pulled away from her and wiped her tears while looking at her face, which was red due to crying. "Ask your inner self, what will you do if that kind of situation again came in your life in near future, especially when you are with child?" "I will do everything to protect my child, even if meant to sell myself brutally just to keep nurturing my child. But never once I will let them feel like a burden or abandon them to live a luxurious life alone." "Then why let others' wrong and stupid assumptions overpower your rational thinking and neglect your health? Cry your heart out when you need to stay cheerful in this situation?" Wyan looked down as his words sank in her mind. She really felt like stupid to believe something which would never happen. sorry. My mom or dad both are not an ideal couple, Ryan. My mom constantly cheated my dad, divorced. My dad never gathered the courage to walk out of the marriage. They are still the same. So they would be the last persons on earth I would go to take advice for my wife or married life. I expect this from you too. Don't let their words pierce too deep in your heart. And if we really judge our parental love on the basis of our past, then I am also not a good person, Ryan. I bought a helpless girl's dignity with money. I am understanding where you are trying to hit your words. I know you will never teach wrong to a child, let alone the thoughts you had about marriage and relationships. He smiled and kissed her forehead. Don't you want to eat ice cream? I have brought them after standing in a line for too long. She chuckled a little, seeing his attempt to divert her mind. Obviously, my husband did so much labor to bring them. Thank you for doing this honor, my lady. Now come. He extended his hand whilst she held him. Both smiled at each other, letting go of their past decisions and embracing the beautiful future.